Hey there, friend. You know those moments when you're sitting quietly, maybe staring out a window or curled up on your couch, and this heavy feeling creeps in? Like you're somehow too much for the people around you, like your presence is a weight they're carrying, and you're just a burden? I've been there. Oh, have I been there? And I bet you have too, because you're listening to this. And that means you're human, you're feeling, and you're probably searching for a way to make that weight a little lighter. So, let's talk about it. Let's unpack this together, like we're sitting in a cozy coffee shop, just you and me, with no judgment, no rush, just a warm conversation about what to do when you feel like a burden. I'm not here to give you a quick fix or some polished advice that sounds good but doesn't stick. I'm here to walk with you through this, to share what I've learned, what others have shared with me, and maybe help you find a little peace in the mess of it all. So, grab a blanket, a cup of tea, whatever makes you feel a tiny bit safer, and let's dive in. First off, let's just name it. Feeling like a burden is one of the loneliest feelings in the world. It's like you're carrying this invisible backpack stuffed with all your insecurities, your fears, your guilt, and it just keeps getting heavier. You start thinking things like, I'm too needy, or they'd be better off without me, or why can't I just handle this on my own? And those thoughts, they're sneaky. They creep in when you're already feeling low, and they make you feel even smaller. But here's the thing I've learned, and I want you to hear this. Those thoughts aren't the truth. They're just stories your brain is telling you, and your brain, sweet as it is, isn't always the best storyteller. It's like when you're watching a movie, and the main character is convinced they're the villain, but you, the viewer, can see the bigger picture. You're not a burden. You're a person with needs and feelings and a heart that's trying so hard to navigate this wild, messy world. And that's not just okay, it's beautiful. So where does this feeling come from? I think it's worth digging into because understanding the roots can help us figure out how to pull them up. For me, it often starts with comparison. I look at other people, friends, family, even strangers on social media, and I think, they've got it all together. They don't need as much as I do. They're not falling apart over a bad day or asking for help. And that comparison makes me feel like I'm failing some unspoken test of independence. But here's what I've realized. Everyone, and I mean everyone, feels like they're too much sometimes. Even the people who seem like they've got it all figured out. They're just better at hiding it, or maybe they're struggling in ways we can't see. Comparison is a thief, and it steals our ability to see ourselves clearly. It tricks us into thinking we're the only ones who need support, when really, needing each other is the most human thing we do. Another place this feeling comes from is guilt. Oh, guilt is a big one. Maybe you've asked for help one too many times, or you feel like you're always the one venting, always the one crying, always the one who needs a little extra care. And you start to worry that you're taking up too much space, that your needs are draining the people you love. I remember a time when I was going through a really rough patch. Work was overwhelming, my anxiety was through the roof, and I felt like I was calling my best friend every other day just to talk me down. I started apologizing every time I called, like I was committing some kind of crime by needing her. One day, she stopped me mid-apology and said, I love being here for you, right? It's not a chore. It's what friends do. That hit me hard. I realized I was assuming I was a burden without ever asking her how she felt. And that's something we do a lot. We assume. We decide we're too much without giving the people we love a chance to tell us otherwise. So, what do we do when this feeling creeps in? How do we stop it from taking over? I've got a few ideas, things that have helped me and others, and I'm going to share them with you, not as a checklist, but as possibilities. Think of them as little tools you can tuck into your pocket for when you need them. The first thing, and this one's hard, but so important, is to challenge those thoughts. When your brain says, you're a burden, don't just accept it. Talk back to it. Ask, is that really true? What evidence do I have? Sometimes I'll even write it down. I'll make 2 columns, one for the thoughts telling me I'm too much, and one for the evidence that says I'm not. And you know what? The evidence column is always longer. It's filled with things like, my friend smiled when I thanked her for listening, or my partner keeps showing up for me even when I'm a mess. Writing it out helps me see that the burden story is just that, a story, not a fact. Another thing that helps is talking about it. I know it sounds terrifying. When you already feel like you're too much, the last thing you want to do is tell someone, hey, I'm worried I'm a burden. But hear me out. Opening up about this feeling can be like letting air into a stuffy room. It creates space for honesty, for connection, for the people you love, to remind you that you're not alone. I had a moment like this with my mom a while back. I was going through a tough time, and I felt like I was dumping all my problems on her. So one day I just said it, Mom, I'm sorry if I'm too much sometimes. I feel like I'm always leaning on you. And you know what she said? She laughed, not in a mean way, but in this warm, loving way, and said, Honey, you're my kid. There's no such thing as too much when it comes to you. That conversation didn't erase the feeling completely, but it made it smaller. It reminded me that the people who love us often see our needs differently than we do. Now, let's talk about something practical: self-care. I know that word gets thrown around a lot, and sometimes it feels like just another thing to add to your to-do list. But self-care, at its core, is about giving yourself permission to take up space. It's about doing things that remind you that you're worthy of care, even when you don't feel like it. For me, self-care looks like small, quiet things. Taking a walk and listening to my favorite music, journaling about what's on my mind, or even just letting myself cry when I need to. It's not about bubble baths or expensive treats, though those are nice too. It's about tuning in to what you need and giving yourself permission to meet that need, even if it's just a little bit. Because when you start caring for yourself, you start to see that your needs aren't a burden. They're a natural part of being human. Another tool that's helped me is setting boundaries, not just with others, but with myself. Sometimes I fall into this trap of thinking I have to be everything for everyone, like I need to solve everyone's problems or always be the one who's okay. And when I can't do that, I feel like I'm failing, which makes me feel like a burden. But I've learned that it's okay to say, I can't take this on right now, or I need some time to myself. Setting those boundaries doesn't make you selfish, it makes you honest. And it helps you show up as your best self for the people you love. I remember one time, a friend was going through a crisis, and I wanted so badly to be there for her, but I was barely holding it together myself. So I told her, I love you and I want to support you, but I'm struggling too. Can we check in tomorrow? She was so understanding, and it actually deepened our friendship because we were both honest about what we could give. Let's talk about gratitude for a second, because I think it's a quiet but powerful way to shift how we see ourselves. When I feel like a burden, I sometimes forget to notice the ways I show up for others. But when I take a moment to think about it, I realize I'm not just taking, I'm giving too. Maybe I'm the friend who always sends a thoughtful text, or the one who listens without judgment, or the one who makes everyone laugh when things get heavy. You have gifts like that too, I promise. Try this. Make a list of 3 things you've done recently that brought joy or support to someone else. It doesn't have to be big. Maybe you held the door for a stranger or made your roommate smile with a silly joke. Those things matter. They remind you that you're not just a taker. You're a giver too, and the people in your life are lucky to have you. Now, I want to touch on something that's a little harder to talk about: when the feeling of being a burden doesn't go away. Sometimes it's not just a passing thought, it's a weight that sticks around, and it might be a sign that something deeper is going on, like depression or anxiety. I've been there, and I know how hard it is to admit that you might need more than just a pep talk or a self-care routine. If you're feeling like a burden all the time, if it's making it hard to get out of bed or connect with the people you love, please know that it's okay to ask for help. Talking to a therapist, a counselor, or even a trusted friend can make a huge difference. I started seeing a therapist a few years ago, and it was scary at first. I worried I'd be too much for her too, but she helped me see that my feelings were valid, and she gave me tools to work through them. There's no shame in needing that kind of support. It's not a sign that you're broken, it's a sign that you're brave enough to keep going. Let's also talk about the people in your life, because they play a big role in how you feel. Most of the time, the people who love you don't see you as a burden at all. But sometimes there are relationships that aren't healthy, where you're made to feel like your needs are too much. If you're in a situation where someone consistently makes you feel like you're a burden, it might be worth taking a step back and asking, is this relationship helping me grow, or is it keeping me small? You deserve people who lift you up, who make you feel like your needs are valid, who remind you that you're worthy of love and care. And if you're not sure how to find those people, start small. Reach out to someone you trust, join a community that shares your interests, or even connect with people online who get what you're going through. You're not meant to do this alone. As we start to wrap up, I want to leave you with a little story from my own life, because I think it sums up everything we've been talking about. A while back, I was going through a really tough time. My job was stressful, my relationships felt shaky, and I was convinced I was letting everyone down. I felt like such a burden that I started pulling away from my friends, thinking they'd be better off without me. One day, my friend Sarah noticed I'd been quiet and invited me over for dinner. I almost said no, but something told me to go. When I got there, she didn't push me to talk or try to fix me. She just handed me a glass of wine, put on some music, and started cooking. At some point, I broke down and told her how I'd been feeling, like I was too much, like I didn't deserve her friendship. And she just looked at me with this soft, steady gaze and said, "You're not a burden. You're my friend, and I love you exactly as you are." That moment changed something in me. It didn't erase the feeling overnight, but it planted a seed. It reminded me that I wasn't alone, that my needs weren't a flaw, that I was worthy of love even when I didn't feel like it. So, my sweet friend, if you're listening to this and feeling like a burden, I want you to hear what Sarah said to me. You are not a burden. You are a person with a heart and a story and a light that shines even when you can't see it. Your needs don't make you weak, they make you human. Your struggles don't make you less, they make you real. And the people who love you, they're not carrying you, they're walking with you, just like I'm walking with you right now. So take a deep breath, let that weight lift just a little, and keep going. You've got this, and you're not alone. Let's keep this conversation going, okay? If you're feeling like a burden, try one of the things we talked about. Challenge those thoughts, talk to someone you trust, take care of yourself in a small way. And if you want to share your story, I'm here listening, not because I have all the answers, but because I know how it feels, and I believe in you. You're not too much. You're just enough, exactly as you are. Thanks for sitting with me today, friend. I'll see you next time.